I still remember the first night I slept in that hostel, because nothing felt wrong yet. That's the part that messes with me the most now. It was late August, humid, and the kind of night where the air feels heavy even after the sun goes down. I had just moved to the city for college, dragging 2 suitcases up 3 flights of stairs, already wondering if I'd made a mistake leaving home. The building was old but not creepy, at least not in any obvious way. Red brick, narrow windows, ivy crawling up one side like it had been there for decades. It looked like 100 other student hostels scattered around college towns across the US. Inside, it smelled faintly like cleaning solution and old wood. The front desk was unattended, with a handwritten sign that said, "Back in 5 minutes." A few couches sagged against the wall, their fabric worn thin. Someone had taped flyers to a corkboard lost keys, study groups, a band looking for a drummer. Normal stuff, comfortingly normal. I signed in, got my room key, and climbed another flight of stairs. The hallway lights buzzed softly, the kind of sound you stop noticing after a while. My room was small, shared with one other student who hadn't arrived yet. 2 beds, 2 desks, a narrow window overlooking the back of the building. I unpacked, FaceTimed my mom, joked about hostel life, and tried to sound braver than I felt. If you like hearing real stories like this, by the way, stories that don't rely on cheap scares, but on the kind of fear that sticks with you, it helps more than you know when you subscribe. It lets these experiences reach people who lived through similar things and maybe never talked about them. That first night, I slept hard. No dreams, no noises, nothing. The hostel eased me into a routine quickly. Classes during the day, cheap meals at night, studying in the common area until someone complained about the lights. You start recognizing footsteps in the hall, voices drifting through walls. There's a comfort in shared spaces, even with strangers. You feel less alone. The building housed mostly first and second-year students, a few international students, a couple of older ones who kept to themselves. There was a guy named Mark on my floor who played guitar quietly at night, always the same slow chords. A girl down the hall who laughed too loudly on the phone with her boyfriend. Normal college life. The first odd thing happened about a week in, and I didn't even clock it as odd at the time. I came back late from the library, maybe around midnight. The hallway was quiet, lights dimmed. As I unlocked my door, I noticed the door across the hall was slightly open. Just a crack. I assumed someone forgot to close it. As I stepped inside my room, I thought I saw movement through that crack, like someone shifting their weight. I told myself it was nothing. You see things when you're tired. Over the next few days, I started noticing how quiet that room usually was. No music, no voices, no friends visiting. I couldn't remember seeing anyone go in or out. Still, hostels are full of people with odd schedules. Night owls, early risers. It didn't mean anything. Then one afternoon, I ran into the building manager, an older woman named Carol, near the stairs. We made small talk about a broken washing machine. I casually asked who stayed in the room across from me. She frowned, just slightly. "That room's been empty for a while," she said. "Why?" I felt stupid immediately. "I just thought I saw the door open once." Carol shrugged. "Old doors. Sometimes they don't latch right. That explanation should be settle it Italiano." Instead, it planted a seed I couldn't quite shake. After that, I started noticing little things. My desk chair would be turned slightly when I came back from class, even though I was sure I'd depoosed it. Once, my notebook was open to a page I hadn't been on. Another time, my desk lamp was off when I could have sworn I left it on. My roommate finally moved in around then, a quiet guy named Ethan, who spent most of his time gaming with headphones on. I asked him if he ever came into the room when I wasn't there. He laughed. "Nah, man, I barely leave my bed." That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. The feeling of being watched crept in slowly, like a draft you don't notice until you're cold. When I showered, I caught myself listening harder than usual, straining for sounds outside the curtain. When I studied, I felt a pressure between my shoulder blades, like someone standing just out of view. I didn't tell anyone. How do you explain a feeling without sounding paranoid? About 2 weeks in, I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Careful. They stopped outside my door. I was still living in the same old brick hostel near my college, in the same narrow room on the upper floor, sharing it with Ethan. Nothing about my routine or surroundings had changed, but the way the building felt had the quiet hallways, the dim lights, the door across from mine that was supposed to be empty. All of it had started to feel heavier, closer. I kept telling myself I was just stressed, that hostel life messes with your head sometimes. But deep down, I knew something inside that building was watching, waiting, and slowly getting more comfortable with me being there. I lay there, heart thudding, staring at the dark ceiling. Hostel hallways echo. You learn that quickly. These steps didn't echo. They were soft, deliberate. I waited for a knock. It never came. After a long minute, the footsteps moved on. The next morning, I told myself it was just someone heading to the bathroom. People come and go at all hours. I forced myself to laugh it off. But that night, it happened again. Footsteps. Pause. Silence. This time, I got up and checked the door as quietly as I could. The hallway was empty. Things escalated after that, but so subtly I kept finding excuses not to react. A handprint smudged on my window from the outside. Even though it was 3 stories up, a soft tapping sound late at night that stopped the moment I sat up. The door across the hall no longer stood ajar, but sometimes, late at night, I could swear I heard something shifting behind it. Furniture, scraping, breathing. I started locking my door every time I entered. I started sleeping with my phone in my hand. One evening, I came back early from class and caught something that still makes my stomach turn when I think about it. As I reached the top of the stairs, I saw someone standing in front of my door. Not knocking, just standing there, close enough that their face was inches from the wood, like they were listening. They turned when they heard me. It was a man I didn't recognize. Mid-30s, maybe. Average height. Hoodie pulled low. His expression was calm, almost blank. "Oh," he said lightly. "Sorry. Wrong room." He walked past me without another word. I stood there, frozen, keys digging into my palm. I watched him disappear down the stairs. I reported it to Carol that night. She listened, nodding, but I could tell she was skeptical. "Are you sure he wasn't a visitor?" she asked. "People bring friends all the time." "He was listening at my door," I said. "That's not normal." She promised to keep an eye out. Nothing changed. From that point on, I stopped feeling safe in the building. I avoided being alone whenever I could. I studied in public places. I stayed on the phone while walking back at night. I told myself I was overreacting, that stress was getting to me. Then one morning, I woke up to find my door unlocked. I knew I'd locked it. I always locked it. Nothing was missing. But my backpack had been moved. My laptop charger unplugged. My bed covers disturbed, like someone had sat there. Ethan swore he hadn't touched anything. That was the moment the fear shifted from vague unease to something sharp and undeniable. Someone had been inside our room while we slept. Campus security took a report. They checked the locks. No forced entry. No cameras in the hallways. "You probably just forgot to lock it," the officer said, not unkindly. I nodded. What else could I do? The nights after that were unbearable. Every sound felt amplified. Pipes rattling, distant laughter, the hum of electricity in the walls. I barely slept. Then came the realization. I was in the common area late one night, pretending to study, when I noticed the reflection in the darkened window. At first, I thought it was my own shadow. Then it moved differently than I did. Someone was standing behind me. I turned quickly. No one was there. But in the reflection, I could see the hallway behind me and the door across from my room. Open. I left the hostel that night and slept on a friend's couch. When I came back the next day with campus security and Carol, they opened the room across the hall. It wasn't empty. It had been converted into a kind of living space. A mattress on the floor. Bottles of water, food wrap peppers. A chair positioned directly facing my door. On the wall, taped photos. Me, leaving my room, sitting in the common area, walking down the hall. My hands shook so badly, I had to sit down. They never found the man. The police said he'd likely been living in unused spaces, moving when discovered. They used words like transient and non-violent, like that was supposed to make me feel better. I moved out the same week. Even now, years later, I still double-check my locks. I still listen for footsteps outside my door. Some nights, I wake up convinced someone is standing just on the other side, listening. If this story made you think of someone else, someone who should hear it, share it with them. And if you've ever lived somewhere that didn't feel safe, somewhere familiar that slowly turned against you, I want to hear about it. Have you ever had a neighbor or a place like this? Share your story below.